what's up? This is Jordan Gray from Half Lit and DopelivenTV.
Hey, this your boy Don Ritchie representing the Midwest 219 Stand Up.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Lamar Tate.
This is your girl Monifa.
Hey, what up? It's your man Dave Hollister from Blackstreet.
You know what this is right here. This Trigger Trench in the building.
Hey, what's up, y'all? This is your boy Jason Weaver. And whenever I'm back home in the Chi, I'm checking out Dope Living TV.
Hey, it's your girl Adina Howard, and you're watching Dope Living TV, live with Greg Gray and the crew.
Hey, what's up? It's your boy Greg Gray. This is Dope Living TV Live. Let me start off by saying the views that are expressed on this Dope Living TV Live are not necessarily the views of Dope Living TV or its affiliates. Having said that, man, it's another week. We are so glad that you guys are tuning in with us. We appreciate your support. I'm not going to waste time. We got a very, very, very interesting story tonight. So we want to celebrate. You know, we don't do stories. We celebrate. We tell you journeys and we celebrate you. That's what we're going to do, all right? Let's get the team on here. What's up, Gina?
What's up? What's up?
Mate, you all right?
I'm good.
Cool. Did you see the Super Bowl?
Oh yes, that was a great game.
That
was a game worth paying for.
Game what?
Facts.
Man, we don't live into your life. We don't pay for nothing. What you talking about?
That was a game worth paying for. That was a game that they had back in the day.
It was a good game though. Life coach, what's up?
What's up, y'all?
What's going on?
What's up, Mo?
What's going on? Yeah, the game was on point, wasn't it?
It was on point.
Definitely. That was a great game.
What did you think about the halftime performance with Rihanna?
Oh,
pregnant
child.
Yep, she is with child.
I think that was her.
Out of all of that, that's all y'all saw was about.
Yes.
Well, see,
I was ready for, man.
Wait. They asked me on Facebook, you know, some people might ask, is Rihanna pregnant again? I said, no, that looked like first baby residue at first.
No, not for a whole year.
No,
hold on, bro.
She had a big lump.
First baby residue.
That's what I said.
Yeah, clean it up, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I was listening to one radio station. I'm out here in Atlanta, right? I'm listening to the radio station, and I hear someone say that what was it saying? That he had to have waited. He didn't wait that long.
No, he did not wait that long. Could not wait. You know how we are when we're about that age. There's fire sticks going on. We got to have it.
My man say locked and loaded.
No, I'm still tripping off of baby residue. All right.
All right. Hey, you don't want to see baby residue.
Nah, what are you guys talking about?
No, you guys. Hey, look, talk to your boy up there.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
It wasn't me. It was the one below me.
Mo B, what baby residue? What you talking about?
Rihanna.
We're gonna chill on the baby residue.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, man, today we're gonna have a great show.
Ooh, I can't wait.
I was on LinkedIn and I was just going through LinkedIn, looking at people, and I had to stop. First of all, y'all know how I love my son, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I saw this title, I saw the book, Dad, Kiss Your Son. So I'm like, okay, well, I do that every day. Let me see what this guy talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I started looking. I looked at his profile, looked at everything, and I'm like, oh my God. he got a story to tell.
Yeah,
and I reached out to him, and he responded back, man, and said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to be on." But I also saw, and I'm just telling you guys what we talked about earlier. Saw that he was the only he only looks at one podcast and listens to one podcast, and we can change the narrative right now. All right,
right.
So he has a book. It's called Dad, Kiss Your Sons. And it's becoming a tutorial for dads, and his journey is one that needs to be heard. Everybody, let's welcome Mr. Mark Craven.
Hey, Mark.
Thank you guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that warm welcome. Wow. Thank you.
What's going on, bro? First of all, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. You know, we love to hear great stories, man.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, sincerely. Yeah. When you reached out, I was like, heck yeah, you're excited about kissing your kids, so am I. Let's talk about it.
Let's do it, you know. So Gina, I don't even know how to start this, okay?
Let's start.
There's so many layers. There's so many layers to this. So I'm gonna skip age 1. We're gonna go all up to age what's it, 21 or 22? Tell us about that, Mark.
So yeah, I mean, I was actually singing in a am I still here?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was singing in a heavy metal band, actually chasing my rock star dream. We were playing some pretty big shows, doing some cool stuff, and I got a message, oddly enough, on MySpace. So that's how far back it's going.
Wow.
Yeah,
way back.
So, yeah, exactly. Got a message on MySpace, and it was along the lines of, we have information on your dad. If you're interested, let us know. It was actually my dad sort of saying that, but just kind of testing the waters to see how I'd respond.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear some info. And, we ended up meeting, and, he was a really great guy. I'm actually named after him. His name's Mark also. Just a really great guy. And at the time I was kind of like living in a rundown neighborhood. There was like holes in my ceiling and, not living in the best place. And when I went to his house, it was like this mansion. I mean, it was the biggest house I'd ever seen outside of Cribs. So I was like, okay, this dude's my dad. All right.
That's right.
Yeah. I was like, let's do it. So, we had Chinese, I remember, and just was a great guy. We really connected. And I mean, right off the bat, he was like, if you want to move in with me, and I'll pay for you to go to school. If you want to go back to college, you can live here rent free. You can go to school full ride.
Wow.
I mean, he just opened the door. He really did. He just opened the door for me. And, like I said, I was kind of living in a not great place. And the band, I mean, it pays more to actually be a rock star than it does to dream about being a rock star. So I was ready to do some things to,
That's some real stuff right there.
Yeah, to change my stuff. So I took them up and tried out school. So went back to school. I fell in love with school, fell in love with education. I did really well. Got like a 4.0 my first semester, and which is surprising because I failed geometry 3 times in high school. And then I ended up
you didn't need it anyway.
Yeah. So
geometry.
Yeah. So about 3 years passed. I finished an associate's degree. I was working on my bachelor's, and he wanted to put me on his health insurance. I was 25 at the time, so we still had another year. He was like, you can get all my health insurance, while you're in school. But we had to do a paternity test because we have different last names. And when we did it,
let me stop you, Mark, before we get that far, because we way up there. We done kind of went. I'm interested in knowing the relationship with you and your dad before. Was it a strained relationship? Why did you not know him? What was the history behind that?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Wait, before you answer that, in relation to Gina's question, so the one that raised you, you thought that was your dad, right?
I didn't have a dad growing up. No one. I didn't have a dad in my life.
Okay.
Yeah. Till I met Mark.
Okay.
So my whole life I was told, this guy's your dad. His name's Mark. He's Italian. Blah blah blah. But my mom's. I opened it up pretty quick in the book. One of my first memories with my mom was seeing her cut her wrist with a steak knife.
Oh,
that's my earliest memory.
Oh, wow.
She had a lot of mental health issues that went undiagnosed and untreated and unmedicated for a long time. I think that's why it's made me such an advocate for mental health and medication. I take my citalopram every day. I never miss. Very vocal with that. That's my favorite SSRI. But she refused to let him in my life at all, and she refused to let any of my family take me around him. And I think for fear of my mom ripping me out of their lives, my other family, they just succumbed to whatever her wishes were. So they didn't, they didn't take me around him. So yeah, my mom was the, person who refused any kind of contact whatsoever. And Yeah. So and again, I kind of grew up. By the time I was 15, my mom moved to California, and I stayed in Pittsburgh. I've moved in with my aunt, and yeah, I mean, we never got along. We had a terrible relationship. We're still really not that close. Forgiveness is an interesting thing, because I think. Can you swear on the show at all or no?
Hell yeah.
Hey, man, we don't censor you, bro.
Okay. So I think you can think someone's an asshole and still forgive them at the same time. That makes sense. So I recognize that she's who she is, but I don't let it kind of hinder me in any way. Anyway,
I don't know how you did that though. I don't know how you couldn't let that bother you. Coming up like you did, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, that's tip of the iceberg. Like I said, the first memory was the steak knife thing, and I'm not making this stuff up. Like I'm not just saying this to for book whatever. Like this is my true, this is my real life. This is really happened. But and my mom was a liar. Like her thing was lying her whole life. My whole family, you could interview any person in my family and they'll tell you the same story. The story never changes of all the stories my mom would tell. So of course, in her adult life, one of the things that got back to me was, so keep in mind, she said my dad was Italian my whole life. She had lied to people at her work. And my cousin Vicky is also a nurse. So this stuff gets around, quick. She had said that she got stuck So my mom, her lie was she got stuck raising her ex-husband's son, her ex-husband's biracial son, because he was killed in a car accident and decapitated. So she got stuck raising his biracial son.
Get out of here,
Wow.
bro. Get out of here.
That's
Are you
something.
serious?
What?
So wait. Who's the biracial son? You?
Me. Well, that's based on what you said.
Okay.
Yeah.
The panel got a couple of questions, man. Mo, what's the question, bro?
Actually, my question was, when you were writing book, did you see or notice that what you went through, a lot of other children went through? As far as the mother keeping you away from, the father.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I knew my story wasn't necessarily unique.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of parts of the story, it's not unique, but we all have a voice in expressing it, so I have a voice to express it in ways that others may not. And it gives their story life, and it gives them a camaraderie also in knowing that they're not alone. I'm going to jump a little bit, but just one of the main messages in this book, it ties in with this exactly. One of the main messages in this book is for new dads and expectant dads to stick around, because when I found out I was going to be a dad, I was so out of my mind, terrified for about 2 weeks. And I hate to say this, and I write about it in the book, but I didn't want my wife to go through with the pregnancy. And if she did, I wanted to talk about adoption. And that makes me want to puke, because Kai is my best friend. I am obsessed with him. And, and I had these 2 weeks of mania and just manic, terrified paranoia. But, I came out of it. And that's the important part of the story is like, I think a lot of new and expectant dads may be thinking like, I have this terrible thought. No one could possibly be thinking what I'm thinking right now. I'm not going to cut it as a dad. I'm not meant to do this. I need to go. I got to leave, and I think if more men are just told like, hey, here's the thought I had. And as much as I don't want to admit it, because my little boy is going to hear this someday and he's going to see it someday, but he needs to know, that it wasn't him. It was a fear of an idea, and it was just fear driving me. It wasn't, oh, Kai. I didn't know Kai. He didn't have a name yet, But I think if more men just sit through that discomfort, what they're going to find on the other side is what any parent can explain, is that you can't explain the amount of love that you feel.
Man.
So it's just really powerful. So I think that's why we share our stories.
You can understand, and you're absolutely right, man. You can't understand how much, even though it's unexpected, a child changes your life. Okay. And, people also always say, you can't be friends with your child. You got to be, if you're really, really, really into that with your child, you know how to balance those lines. You know what I'm saying? You got a question?
Yes. Mark, so you were saying that your dad, Mark, wanted to put you on his health insurance. And so you guys had to have a paternity test. Can you kind of?
Yeah. Yeah,
What happened?
yeah, and leading up to that, again, because I knew my mom, I knew that he wasn't a bad guy. So when we did meet, I didn't have that initial reaction of, oh, if I ever meet my dad, I'm gonna knock his effing
Yeah.
mouth out, knock his teeth out or something.
You can
I
say
never.
Mark, quit trying to suppress
Cut him
your.
out. Cut him out.
Let it out,
didn't
bro.
intend on knocking him the fuck out.
That's
if I met him,
knock his fucking ass out.
Let's
Right.
go. Let's
Oh,
go.
Lord.
Yeah, so
We get it.
we had a good relationship. I was open. We met each other. Great, just a fantastic guy. I was excited to have a dad. If I'm being honest, I was excited to have a dad and have a family.
Exactly.
And
Living
so
in a
we.
mansion.
What's that?
Living in a mansion didn't hurt neither.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, had you been looking for him prior?
Not really. I had kind of come to
terms.
Yeah, I just came to terms with, I just don't have a dad. I'm not gonna have a dad.
Okay.
So we did the paternity test, almost jokingly. I remember us like being in the kitchen swabbing our mouths and him like laughing, like this is so stupid. And then the test came back and it took my dad like to his knees,
Mm.
it really crushed him, and I wasn't happy about it, but to me it didn't change anything for me. Because I had known my mom for so long that I knew anything she was capable of. I knew this was something that she was capable of doing.
What crushed your dad? What crushed your dad? We know, but our viewers don't.
What was the question? Sorry.
You just said it crushed your dad, took him to his knees. We know what happened. Can you tell our viewers what happened?
Yeah. So once we found out the test was negative, it came back negative. It crushed him. It just. He told people my whole life about me. When he would date girls, he lived in California for a long time. When he would date anybody, he would always say like, I have a son, in Pittsburgh. And he talked about me my whole life. I was his kid. And, I couldn't imagine that. I couldn't imagine, coming to find out that, Kai wasn't my son, or something. So I can't really understand. I can't really imagine how much pain that brought him, but it did. It took him to his knees. And my cousin Vicky. Now Vicky's a big player in my life because she's like 15 years older than me. She's my older cousin, who's more like my older sister, and now she's more like my mom. She's Kai's nunny. Like he calls her nunny. So Vicky's the angel on earth right now for me. But she, through tears, she was like, hey, look up a guy. He wrestled in the WWF in the 80s, and your mom was dating him about the same time that she got pregnant with you. So I pull up the video, and it was like looking into a mirror. There was no, I didn't need a paternity test. I didn't need ancestry. We did ancestry.
Did he have a bigger house?
Us, but we didn't need it.
Did he have a bigger house?
She said, did he have a bigger house?
I don't think he did.
Miss $600.
Yeah, I don't think he did.
Wow.
So we came to find out I came to find out he was my real dad. My dad, Mark, and I still call Mark my dad. I still see him probably monthly for breakfast, so we're still close. And he was at my wedding, and, he knows Kai and he sees Kai often. So, we're close. He's a great guy. He's my dad. I came to find out this wrestler was my biological dad. And, the crazy thing about it was, so once I started tracking him and looking into who he was, I found out that he actually ended up going to community college, graduated, and taught high school math. I found this out when I was teaching college math. And then he was working as a principal. He retired as a principal from high school, and I got into administration in college. So we followed this extremely similar path.
Yeah. Wow.
And like I said, I did the rock star thing. He did the wrestler thing.
Yeah.
Same thing, rock star.
Yeah. So I sang in the metal band and did all that stuff, and then I went to school and taught and, did administration. And
you never know. You never know.
Wow.
My coach, you had a question?
Yeah, man. Just with the culmination of everything, we know everything has an origination, right? Everything has a start. So with that start being your mother, with you figuring out all of this as everything unfolded and you continue to write, was the book like a segue to kind of help heal that your feelings about your mother that you might have had? Was it a way to kind of release and get it out there?
Absolutely. Yeah, writing's cathartic. I've been writing forever. I sang in the band. I wrote all the lyrics. I wrote poetry growing up when I was a kid. I've been writing my whole life. And my first book, which I don't talk about too much because it sucked, but we
it
all
was probably
learned
great.
from our first few
Right.
things. But I did write some of this story in a way in my first book. But for this book, for what I was doing here, I had Kai and Erin, my wife, who's just this incredible support and always, cheering me on and pushing me to be better. She's like, your story is just so crazy. She's the one who got me the ancestry test, and when we did that, it connected me to my real dad's family. And he didn't want to meet me. He didn't want anything to do with me. But I found out I had a sister who we connected with, and it's crazy. It's a crazy story. But yeah, in writing this, I was sitting on it for a couple years, and the book was originally called Chapter 7 because I went bankrupt, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, and I was in a new chapter in my life. It was my 7th book, so there was a lot of play on the word with Chapter 7. But I just didn't connect with it. I wasn't connecting. I was like, okay, I have a crazy story, but what's the point? I don't, what am I telling this for? And I remember I wrote, one of my friends posted on Facebook, and I commented and just said, "Dads kiss your sons." He must have wrote something about, dads and sons and stuff. And I wrote, "Dads kiss your sons," and it hit me. I was like, oh, that's why I went through all this bullshit. That's because now, and I don't mean to be like to sound egotistical in any way, but I'm a great dad. I'm like number one. Like I kill it in the dad front. I love it.
You're right. You are right behind me.
Yeah,
Exactly. He said right behind.
If you consider yourself a dad, you're a great dad.
There you go. You should own that, man.
That's right.
Yeah, that's number one New York Times bestseller would be a great title, but the only title that it holds more weight is being a good dad. 100%. There's just no question in my mind. So I knew why I went through everything. I knew why I walked through everything that I walked through. I knew why I had a shitty mom and a not dad growing up, because it brought me to this place where I acknowledge and I'm so present, and I'm so, man, that dude is just, he's my whole life. I'm just so head over heels in love with him. And I just want every man, every person that calls themselves a dad to feel this, to experience it, not to run away from how scary it can be.
We got to read that book, man. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
Even just the excerpts that I read, man, the way that you tell the story, you know what I mean?
Thank you.
Look, guys, y'all, look.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Kiss your sons.
That's me, my man. That's my man, Kai.
He is a cutie pie with dimples, deep dimples.
See, and what I like about that picture, real quick, just what I like is like, it's, you can't really see, it's more of a silhouette of Kai, and you can really see my face, not because I'm like, oh, look at me. I want you to see that is pure joy. That is how I feel every single day, thinking about and looking at my little boy. That's how I feel. That is my face every single day.
Well,
that's how I feel every day.
That's why we celebrate on this show, man. People go through things, okay, but if they can find the pot of gold in there, it's a beautiful thing. Mo, you had something you want to say?
Just a question, real quick. Statement I already made. What about your mom being around your kids?
So my mom has met Kai a few times. I never wanted to shut her out from her grandson, her biological grandson. Like I said, I can think someone's an asshole, but forgive them at the same time. Yeah. We might need to put that on a shirt.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you.
You don't do it, I will.
You can be an asshole and forgiven at the same time. Yeah. But she's met him and she's been around him. But for me, the biggest thing for me growing up was my mom would always say, "We're doing this, we're doing that," and then she would never follow through. It was always empty promise after empty promise, and it really burrowed these deep insecurities in me that I fight now. My wife is the most trusting person I've ever met in my life. She went on a trip with her girlfriend, and immediately my mind starts going crazy. She would never do anything. She wouldn't cheat on me. You know what I mean? And I just say that because I know her. Whether she was with me or somebody else, that's not her. But that's some stuff I got to deal with because of all of those. We're going to Chuck E. Cheese tomorrow when I'm 7, and we didn't go to Chuck E. Cheese. Or we're You know, not that you need those things; they're trivial
Mm-hmm.
things, but it's the promise,
Word.
Mm-hmm.
it's the
Yeah.
security. It's saying I'm going to do this thing and then
There
not
you
doing
go.
it.
Wow.
So I never. That's the one thing. If she ever did that with Kai, once she was out.
And
You know,
I can
I can
attest to
understand that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's my one. That
I
was my one.
remember a time when
You ever say to that little boy, "We're going here. We're going to the zoo," and then he gets his hopes up, and you don't show up. That's it. You got one. So
I'm telling you, Mark, it's so, as you're saying this, man, I can remember a time when my son was young, and I don't even know I should say this because my brothers do watch the show, but you know, we're fine now. And it was a misunderstanding, but my son was playing with his cousins, and my other brother brought his kids in who they weren't, you know, he wasn't doing a lot for his kids, you know, as far as raising them up and this and that. So the one brother that came in town, he wanted to take all of the kids out for some White Castle, but he told me, well, he loaded up the other kids, didn't take my son. Like, why? He said, well, you do everything for Jordan and this and that, okay? So he's all right. These other kids need to. I'm like, oh, hell no. I got so angry. I didn't talk to my brother for a while. I'm like, why would you do my son like this? I mean, I wanted to do something else to him, my brother, but I said, you know, whatever, man, you know. But I understood after a while what the deal was, but you don't.
Kids don't understand.
Yeah, kids don't.
Yeah. Marcelo, you had a question.
I do. Mark, okay, something you went to the point where you said you found out who your dad was. You had another little surprise in there. And before you go into that, I just want to tell you how you've had so many adversities growing up, like with your mom not knowing who your dad was, then finding your dad who really wasn't your dad, now finding your dad who was kind of seemed like might possibly famous, because I know wrestling was big back in the 80s. My son was deep into it. And then kind of like being rejected, but instead of doing woe is me, and sponsoring a pity party, you did the opposite. But what was another surprise you found?
Well, let's slow down a little bit, Marcy, because I want Coach to get in his question before we go into those details. So let's get Coach question out there first.
Okay.
Yes. Now, I know this is something that the viewers are thinking, and it's a one-word question. And I want to know if did you ever sit down and have the chance to ask your mother why? Why?
What?
I wish it were a one-word question. Yes. But the thing is, when you're dealing with, I mean, I'm not schooling you, or anybody. I'm just saying, when you're dealing with somebody that's a pathological liar to such a degree, I have a better shot at having a conversation with this bookshelf behind me and getting a straightforward answer. So it wouldn't matter. Do you know what I mean? Like,
and I understand what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like I have sat down with her and I have, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, even now, I do want to say something that hits Marcy's question. But remind me to get back to it. I sent her a Christmas picture, and she asked me an interesting question. So just remind me to get back to that if I don't touch it.
We'll get back. Marcella, finish your thought.
She was done. She was waiting on the answer.
Yeah, I was getting ready to wait. I was waiting on the answer. What was the other surprise that you found out, and how did that affect you and others around you? Can you share with
Yeah, absolutely. So this is something I write about. I dedicate actually like a whole chapter to this point, to this experience. Is I found out not only was this wrestler my real dad, but also my nationality and my ethnic heritage, my background changed in that moment too. So Mark is Italian. So my whole life I was told I was Italian Sicilian. My mom's Polish and German. My mom's very white. Like if she thinks about the sun, she gets burned. Like, she can't even go near it. I think about the sun and just get darker. So I found out that Mark wasn't my real dad. He is Italian, and I found out the wrestler he's black. So I found out that I was mixed race, which I didn't know my whole life, even though I had a lot of friends and a lot of people, saying like,
you was cool like that.
Yeah, like I mean, you
got that little.
I already knew you was down with the people.
Yeah, yeah, you
They
know.
were like, "You a brother."
Oh,
Right.
100%. And it was kind of funny because I remember when I went back
Stop
to
talking
college.
when you come up. When you walk up, they stop talking.
Yeah. Like, what's this guy
You
doing?
walk up.
When I went back to school, I remember I was talking to somebody. I was like, yeah, like, all the popular group is the black kids, and they all liked me, and I fit in with them. I was like so blown away. I was like, yeah.
Wow, I wonder why.
But what it did to me, you know, the thing. So I was raised by two very different people. I was raised by my aunt. And my aunt and my grandma are kind of together. I was raised by them. They were sisters. This is my great aunt. My grandma's her sister, and then mom. So my mom was actually she was just very racist. I mean, we'll just put it out there. I mean, she said everything you shouldn't say as a white person about black, you know. So, but then on this side of things, you know, with my aunt and my grandma, I mean, my aunt lived in the projects. Every single neighbor was black. You know, my aunt was just anybody who would go into her house, they loved her. I wrote a whole chapter about her too, the best person I've ever known. It's about my aunt Doe. Her name was Donna. I guess I couldn't say Donna when I was a baby or little, so I said Doe. So my aunt Doe, and I'll try not to get emotional talking about her, but she's the most important person in my life, hands down. But she was just very welcoming. She loved everybody, every single person. Just, you know, I remember my friends growing up, they would just want to go to Aunt Doe's and hang out, whether I was there or not. I mean, she just welcomed and accepted everybody. There was never racist or, you know, anything like that. But my mom was, you know, so when I found that out, I mean, I really had to just kind of sit back and think, like, what did it mean to me? You know, like, what does it mean to me, if anything? You know, and I was like, I never really thought about this. I guess I never thought about it because I'm not racist. You know, like, is there any racial thoughts in me? But I had to really dig deep because sometimes that stuff isn't on the surface. You don't know. You know, just I think I write exactly this in the book is, you know, racism isn't always blaring. It's not wearing a white hood and, you know, doing all this stuff. Like it's very it can be very quiet. It can be very subtle, you know, and I did find it in me, and I found it in thinking that black people were different than me because of what my mom did, because of what she said, you know. It was like, and I think that's where I found it. And I was like, no, I was like, I'm not racist. I was like, but she made it seem that this whole group of people was bad. You know, it put in me,
for you.
Yeah, it put in me. Like I said, I didn't buy that this group of people was bad, but I think what, you know, maybe permeated my thoughts at those formative years was this group of people is different than me, whatever that means, you know, whether that's bad or good, different. And that alone, very subtle, you know, doesn't really mean one thing or another, but very subtle enough that it needed to be addressed. And I addressed it, and I've looked at it, you know, and I've talked about it, and I wrote about it, and I'm talking about it now, you know, but I recognized that was there. And, you know, I hated seeing it there, and I just burned it away because it wasn't, you know, it was just foolish. I mean, it was foolish, you know, and especially at that moment in my life, when I found that out, I was like, you know, I was really succeeding in my career in higher education. And I was like, every single person, literally every person that helped me in higher education has been black. Everyone. There hasn't been one, nothing against white people. I'm white too. You know? Like, that's part of me too. But every single person that showed up for me in higher education was from the black community. Every single one, you know? So it was just, I confronted that, and, you know, I was like, okay, well, that's stupid. You know, I don't believe that, but yeah, so it didn't really change me that much because, you know, again, thankfully I wasn't like some like hardcore racist, you know, like lose.
Hey, but that's very big of you to see that in yourself, though, because a lot of people don't even want to take that small little underline that they have in them and actually address it, because they'll say that it's something small and they'll just leave it alone. But you took the time to actually look at it, Doug. So that's commendable, bro.
Thank you. And you know, and that's not fun to talk about. I mean, you know, like,
exactly.
I mean, because people could take that as like, oh no, dude, you're racist. Like, come on, like, I'm not. You know, and then if you have to say you're not, then you probably are. But
you can.
know, I think it's important. like why I wrote about that is exactly that, is to see something in yourself, no matter what it is. Now this is a broad topic now.
Mm-hmm.
Your dad, and something we don't like to talk about as dads is mental health and depression and being sad and being scared, right? So if there's a little bit of that in you, if you got a little bit of depression, insecurity, and fear in you, and it turns into this big mental health issue that you didn't address, and now you can't be the dad that your son needs you to be, your daughter needs you to be, the husband, your wife needs you to be, because you didn't look at this little thing, then you're fucked up. You're fucking up. You're losing it. You're losing everything because you didn't look at this little thing. So what would it have meant if I didn't look at this little thing? It would have meant I didn't look at other little things in me.
Facts.
But
you went through it, bro. You got to go through something to go through. But you could have easily went a whole lot of different ways, man.
Yeah.
With all of this stuff
Yeah.
into you. So thank God that you kept a level head and decided, because basically, even though you had these support, you basically had to figure this out on your own. You know what I mean? And you did. Mo, you had a question.
I'm just statement. It just seems like it goes to prove that racism is taught. It's not something that you come out with. It is taught, and and you just basically proved that whole statement with what you just said.
100%, because I had two very different teachers.
Right.
Two very different teachers. One teacher saying this group is bad, this group is XYZ, racial, racist, and then I have this person that doesn't even look at it as a group. It's just people. Everybody is together. Everybody laughs. Everybody loves. Everybody's enjoying.
If you need help, you get help. If you need a shoulder crown, you crown that shoulder, and that is so contrary to what's taught in our culture now. That we're like we're made of stone. We're just really horrible.
That's a statement though, Maurice, about it, because a lot of people say you're not taught. You're born this way, but again, Mark is an example of could have went either way.
It could have went either way, is what I'm saying, but he's seen both ends. He's seen a spectrum where it was taught, hate was taught, and then he saw that wasn't the truth. And that's what I think that's happening today. What happened in the 60s, if you think about back in the 60s, what happened was they found out that a lot of stuff that their parents wasn't saying was not true, about blacks. And they started, we all started marching together at that point. And I think that's the same thing that's happening now.
That's I really relate to that. I never thought of it, but that's exactly it. I was just, mom saying this thing, and then I'm with my Aunt Bo, and I'm like, well, that's not what's going on.
Yeah.
That's not what I see every single day when I'm all my friends in the neighborhood are black, because my Aunt Bo babysat me, and I lived with her. Well, so I said my mom moved to California when I was 15. I moved in with my Aunt Bo, and I lived with her for 3 years, and then cancer took her when I was 18.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was rough. So that's what I think pushed me to study biology, and get into that. But yeah, my aunt was the greatest person I've ever known. And if there's anything good in me at all right now, it's because of her.
and you're teaching others now. You're teaching others to pass all of this message. Just be yourself and decide for yourself. Marcella, you got a question?
Yes. Okay. Let's go to your book, Dads Kiss Your Sons. You've gone through so much. Title of your book, Dads Kiss Your Son. We're a lot of times raised that fathers are supposed to be hard, and you don't show, you're not supposed to show affection. You're the disciplinary, so can you go a little bit more about into your book and what exactly are you teaching? What point do you really want to get across to other dads out here?
So, strictly speaking to the title grabs one of the themes in the book. Like I mentioned earlier, one of their central themes is for new and expectant dads to stick around. You're shitless, but just stick around. It's really a fun ride. You'll enjoy it. But specifically speaking to the other message of dads kiss your sons, absolutely. As men, you kind of have this false idea of, this bravado that you have to carry. Oh, here's my man card. I heard you guys talking about the football game yesterday, the Super Bowl. I literally know nothing about sports, and I did not watch the Super Bowl. I know nothing about sports. Yeah, and I'm from Pittsburgh, which always blows me.
Oh man,
It's all right.
If the Steelers were playing yesterday, I probably wouldn't watch it. Like that's how not into sports I am. Anyway,
Pennsylvania close enough.
So, and I missed the halftime show. I'm sure Rihanna killed it though. She looked beautiful. She's great. Good for her. But no, Dads Kiss Your Sons, it's just, I kiss Kai relentlessly. I mean, I just kiss that little boy so much. And how I was raised, I was, my grandma and my aunt, honestly, even my mom, like they all just kissed me and hugged me. And I just think it's so important. And what I found was, in doing a lot of the research is it's biologically, developmentally extremely important.
It is
for our children to feel that, because the brain forms fully, like 90. It forms fully 90. Thank you. Someone said they love the title. Appreciate that. The brain says, or the research says, the brain forms fully 90%. 90% fully formed in the first about 3 years, from about 8 months, in vitro to or in utero to 3 years old. 90%. So that means that the amygdala is forming, and all of these brain parts. And what's happening when we're loving them and holding them and kissing them, like the neural connections that's happening, it's releasing serotonin, it's releasing oxytocin, it's releasing all of the dopamine also. It's releasing all of these neurotransmitters that allow the infant and the baby to feel safe, to feel secure, to feel love. And in doing that, it creates security. So it creates these neural connections and pathways that lead more towards security rather than insecurity and fear. And it also gives them greater coping mechanisms. So when they are in a stressful situation, they can handle it better. When you don't show that much love, now you have a decrease in all those neurotransmitters I just talked about, and you have an increase in cortisol, which is the stress hormone. And what that's causing is more fear, more anxiety, more trepidation within them. They're afraid to do and try new things. So that old let the baby cry, if they're in the other room taking their head off, that's not good. It actually cortisol goes crazy, serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, it all goes down. So that baby is in a state of fear for a prolonged period of time. And neural connections are, you're not safe, you're not secure, you're in danger, over and over and over. And as they grow up, they become me with insecurity.
So that's one of those reasons why when a baby is first born, they want the baby skin to skin either on the mom or the dad, correct?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
That's kind of the same.
I could never see a day where I wasn't holding my son or kissing my son as an infant. When he got to the 6th grade, being there for everything that he wanted to do, sports or whatever. When he got into high school, same thing. What do you want to do? Son, what college do you want to go to? Let's make it happen. Okay, going to college. I would try to be up there every day, man. I'm telling you, just to make sure that he was okay after college. Any of these people here will tell you how I feel when you talk about my child, my son.
Oh, wait.
I well up.
He in pain, man.
I well up. Okay, Gina, you had a question.
Yeah, my question is really, really quick, Mark. What do you put on your application? Italian, white, or black?
There's an other there.
I put black. Yeah, I do. I put black.
It's black.
Oh.
As long as you're putting something on there, man. And I tell you, too. My mom was 85 years old. Okay, bless her soul, man. But she was filling out the census, and I grabbed the census because I said, "Mom, you can do it online now." But I looked at it and it said nationality. My mom had Negro on there, man.
Oh Lord!
You wrote that down?
She was living back in the 60s.
She had to write that out.
Wow. You know what? Greg, on that note, let us take us a little break to redirect, regroup, and refocus. Let's hear a 1-minute thought from life coach Jeff Relaford.
Hey, real quick. This 1-minute thought is going to be very brief. It might be less than a minute. The thing is this, people. I want y'all to think about this. I've actually put this up on the status, man, and I want to make sure I'm getting this right. It says most people will be in the same exact place next year as they are today.
Speak on it, Coach.
So don't be most people. Don't be most people. You have today to make your life different, to finally make a change for the better. Whatever it is you said you want to do, stop pumping the brakes on everything because of fear. Just go out and do it. You're never going to learn what you're capable of unless you actually start. So run the race. You don't know when you're going to hit the finish line. But if you run the race, I guarantee you're going to learn along the way and your eyes will be opened up to a lot in this world.
Real.
Life coach, we batting 99% right now, man. Okay,
I hear you, brother.
That's Life Coach Relevant has his own podcast on Mondays and changing the narrative with Armand Baskin. All right, they're doing some big things right now. Y'all check them out. All right, we are talking with Mr. Mark Craven, who has this fantastic book out. It's the tutorial for all fathers. It's the tutorial. I made it the tutorial, Mark. All right?
Wow,
I made it the tutorial, man. It's called Dads Kiss Your Sons. All right, I feel this. All right, look at the cover. Read the book. Look at some of the, even if you don't read, look, underneath we're scrolling dadskissyoursons.com. Go to that website. Check it out. Look at some of the things that are on there. Okay. I'm telling you, it will change your perspective on how you treat your sons. Not only your sons, but your children. Period. All right. Yeah. Mark, you did your thing, bruh.
Yes, Mark.
Yeah.
I just thought about it as you spoke. I thought about when my sons were young and how I used to hug them and motivate them, and that's so important, Mark. I'm so glad you wrote a book like that.
She raised serial entrepreneurs.
It's something else, man. I'm so glad that I was able to we finally were able to connect and get this done. Okay, and I hope that you watch this podcast as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I really appreciate you guys so much. And real quick, yeah, when people go to the website, if they join the newsletter, they get the first 3 chapters for free immediately. It goes right to their email as soon as you sign up. And the book will actually officially be out. It's actually not officially out yet. Mid-March, it's looking like. So yeah, we're still doing some work as far as getting the marketing campaign just right, because we want to hit bestseller. You know. So.
Mid-March, man, when you release it, come back and hang out with us again, and we can talk about after it's been out. You know what I mean?
Hey, real quick. So the thing I said earlier, real fast, I found the exact quote from my book. So during the first, I just want people to know I'm not like BSing, being crazy. But during the first 3 years of life, the human brain develops 90% of adult size and puts in place the majority of systems and structures that will be responsible for all future behavioral, social, and physiological functioning during the rest of life. So the first 3 years, 90% of the brain is put together, anatomical structure saying you're okay, you're safe, you're loved, you're secure, or the opposite. Make sure you're doing the things that don't go the opposite and show them that they're loved. So dads kiss your sons for sure.
You got to show, and it's not. This is not just saying, you know, he's a man who has a son, all right. But I think it can apply to women as well. But a man, you know, sending a black man, especially out into this world today, if he's not prepared, you know, with love, with the training, with everything else that is involved, he's going to be lost. All right. Mark was sent out there without a lot of that. You know, I don't have a male father figure in my life. Okay. So to be sitting here, Mark, that's huge, bro.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
That is huge. Anyway, before we leave out of here, does somebody else have something to say? All right, before we leave out of here, man, we try to spread some love. Number one, man, we appreciate you coming through. We want to celebrate. This is the stuff that we want to celebrate, guys. All right. Everybody tells these stories out there, and you know they leave them halfway done. They say whatever's happening, the bad part, and they leave it. They just let it go, okay? But they don't realize that from the bad, there may be some good that comes from it. Let's hear the whole story. Let's look at people's journeys and find out what they're doing and how they got to where you got to go through something to get to something, period. All right? Everybody, you got to go through something to get to period. It's how you go through it that determines what your stage in life is going to be, period. Period. I love my son. Jordan, I love you, man. Mark, before we get out of here, we try to give people words of of wisdom, some strength words, man. Give us something.
So don't let your pain. First of all, your pain matters. Okay, a lot of people are whatever broke your heart, doesn't matter what it was. It doesn't have to be as bad as somebody else's. So it matters. It's valid. Your pain matters, but you can move on from it, and you can continue on from it. Don't forget it. Let it drive you and let it push you. Most of all, let it help you. Let it help you help other people. Tell your story, because it's going to shine a light on other people who may not have the ability to tell their story, and they'll find strength through you telling your story and sharing your story and sharing your strength as well as your pain.
My brother, forget about it. Marcella.
Well, okay. First of all, Mark, thank you for being on the show. Your story is awesome. I thank God that you wrote this book. It's very much needed, and not just for fathers, but for fathers to be as well. People need to know it's okay to show love and affection to your children. Also, you brought up mental illness. People, stop sweeping that under the rug. We need to get that out. We need to talk about it in our communities and demand that our legislators look at mental illness as a real illness, and let's do something about it to help our people.
Let's go. Moby.
Man, I think this book is a candidate for that young lady on the right of Greg, your Distinguished Authors Guild. So you might want to give her a copy of this book so it can possibly end up in the show.
100%. You guys all get a free copy as soon as it's out.
Yay!
Oh, you come back on as soon as it's out too.
I will.
Most definitely. All right, Gina, what you got?
That's a great segue.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Life coach.
It's all right. Ladies first. We could let it go. But hey man, yes, just thank you for gracing the show today, man, because your story is definitely something that needs to be heard.
Yeah.
You've definitely shown people today how they can take whatever aspect of life they getting hit with. Because my man, you got hit with a lot.
Dude.
Back to back. You know what I mean? So I commend you for the poise that you had, when you went through it. Your peace, the calmness that you went through, you know what I mean? And hey, man, I learned a lot from you, and I hope a lot of other people learned a lot too as well.
Thank you. Thank you so
much.
Man,
I just wanted to say thank you for coming on the show, because we're going to give Gina the last word. Coming on the show, man, and hanging out with us. I mean, I learned a lot, and I see similarities. I could never feel the pain that you felt or the struggle that you had to go through in order to get to where you're at now. I mean, you had a lot of different variables, and man, bruh. Woo. You the dude, man. You the dude. You Superman. So thank you for coming on the show, man. We appreciate you. Gina, what you
thank you.
Yes, I can't wait to get my copy. But Mo just brought the segue. That was a great segue, Mo. I just wanted to make everybody aware. If you haven't seen, Distinguished Authors Guild is holding a raffle. And for those who don't know what Distinguished Authors Guild is, we honor authors for their hard work and dedication.
Yep.
We have been doing this since 2020, and along with that, we give out scholarships. We have been giving out scholarships since 2020. So this raffle is a way to raise money for more scholarships so that we can continue to push those writers out there. So if you haven't already, go to my page, Gina Gatson, or Distinguished Authors Guild page, get you a ticket. All you do is go to Cash App and go to $ uppercase DAG, lowercase XX20, purchase a number, and you have an opportunity of winning one of 3 prizes. First prize is a feather down comforter, king size, 1,200 thread count, $89 value.
That's for after midnight right there, boy.
Hey.
The second item, you can't have a comforter, a nice comforter without nice pillows, right?
That's the hitter after midnight.
Hotel quality pillows. It even have the case to carry, because some people like to carry their own linen and when they travel. So you get your travel bag to take your pillows along with you. I got these pillows, man. Oh my gosh. $150 value for a $25 ticket. The last item is a double vase. Now these vases can be set up together like they are in the picture, or you can set them apart. But either way, the proceeds goes to the Scholarship for Distinguished Authors Guild. And if you haven't already, go to the DAG page, follow, like the content that's on there. Help us get more authors out there so that they can do like Mark is doing, getting his book out there. So Mark, you might want to look into this. But
Yeah.
we are definitely trying to give back. We want to make sure that our college students, freshman college students, are prepared and that they're able to get their education.
Man.
Thank you guys.
And Mark, that Distinguished Authors Guild is held in Las Vegas. All right. Good time out there, man. It was kind of stifled because of the pandemic, but you know, pandemic over, out there doing it. You authors, you guys put your heart and soul into writing these books, and with the Distinguished Author Guild that Gina has founded, it gives an opportunity for you guys to be celebrated. I love to use the word celebrate because it's not always about tragedy. It's about celebration, man. I'm telling you, it's
Black tie affair.
Love that. You know, it's
sometimes all
easy to
authors
stay
are
focused.
African American authors. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just saying it's easy to stay focused on tragedy rather than celebration. So it's important to bring to the forethought.
Yeah, we can't do that here, man. We here at Dope Living TV Live, we make sure that we celebrate. We want to hear the stories, but we make sure we celebrate everybody, man. DadsKissYourSons.com. Everybody out there, look at that. And the other one was what was the other one? Help me out here, Mark. It was
you got the book?
SuccessUpAhead.com.
Oh, well, it's DadsKissYourSons.com. It'll take you to SuccessUpAhead.com.
Okay, cool. So
nice.
Like, you guys go check it. I guarantee you'll be inspired. I guarantee you that.
Yes.
Thank
you.
you.
Your viewership back. Man, thank you again, Mark. Again, we want you to come back. We
Oh yeah.
I want to come back.
Please
You're part of the family now.
This is now the other podcast, the only other podcast I watch.
See, there you go. We did it.
We number two.
We're number two. Tell old boy. What's up?
You guys are number one. You slid into number one. He's number two.
Okay.
Tell him what's up. We got
right.
This. All right. Hey, this is Dope Living TV Live, man. Again, DadsKissYourSons.com. Go there, check it out. And once it comes out, y'all go get the book.
Yes.
Got a book.
Purchase the book.
Just the cover alone, man.
I know.
If you don't read the book, cut the cover out, put it on the show. You know how we used to get the wallets with the little extra family pictures in it?
Hey, man, I got one thing to say about that, though. This dude is swole.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw that arm he was using to pick up his child. If you don't pick up that book, he gonna beat you down. He's gonna take you
I didn't
down.
notice that, man. That's two arms.
It's just this shirt.
That's the shirt, huh?
That's the wrestling gene.
Oh, I know it was one other question I had. So what was the dad's name? The wrestler?
No, I can't do that.
Actually, I'm trying not to.
Oh, okay.
We won't go there, Mo. We won't go there.
I'll give it to you guys. In confidence.
They don't have to get off and let us know.
If you had came on earlier, Mo, you would have been able to hear that we wasn't gonna talk about who the dude.
I'm sorry, I didn't come on 2 minutes before.
With your late ass. All right. Anyway.
Gina, we were late today. Hey.
Marcy popped on, but then she popped off. Okay. You know, I'm like, okay, it's cool.
That was the end.
Hey, Mark, this is my son. No, it ain't. That's me.
We don't need that photo, man. That's a lot, man.
Anyway, hey, man, this is Dope Living TV Live, man. We will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody, make sure you hit that website. All right.
Yes.
We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, Mark.
Peace.